This is a training on plastics and justice for workers in the informal economy. This series has 3 goals. To consider how the mass production of plastics has impacted workers in the informal economy. To understand environmental and economic justice for informal economy workers. And to introduce the concept of a just transition. This video is an introduction to materials management and plastics. In the past, most goods and materials in our economy had value and would be recycled and reused. Because there were fewer goods and materials in production, they had more value, and there was therefore more of a market for reuse and repair of items. Workers in reuse and recycling livelihoods have always come from economically, ethnically, socially and politically marginalized or oppressed communities, with women facing greater challenges to improve and advance in their work. Reuse, repair and recycling jobs, like waste picking, cobbling, mending and tailoring, prevents huge amounts of waste pollution and improves sanitation and community health. Similarly, products made from natural materials by craftspeople decompose naturally in the environment and can also reduce the need for plastics. Industrialization is the process of turning an agricultural economy into a manufacturing economy, often replacing human labor with machines and enabling the mass production of goods. In the 1950s, plastics became a useful replacement for natural resources like metals, wool, and silk. Economic growth led to the production of more and more disposable goods and packaging, especially plastics. Plastics have allowed people to make new products, and more of them, without as much reliance on natural resources. Compared to handmade items, plastic goods can be mass-produced, sold at more affordable prices, and are often cheaper to replace than to have repaired. As a result, plastics have become a very useful but challenging material that can now be found nearly everywhere on Earth. Globalization, especially since the 1980s and 90s, has enabled the spread of plastic products and packaging across the globe. Plastics that are used just once, called single-use plastics, can be found in nearly every market on Earth, even though many places don't yet have waste collection or transportation systems in place. Unfortunately, even if they do, it doesn't mean the waste will be managed in an environmentally responsible way. The rise of plastic products and cheap disposable packaging in the global marketplace has led to a change from a circular economy, in which everything is reused, repaired and recycled, to a linear economy, in which materials are thrown away and not made useful again. In a linear economy, more products and packaging are created and discarded, which requires jobs to handle both production and waste management. The mass production of goods can make supply chains very long, making it more difficult for workers to organize, and making it harder to identify or trace exploitative working conditions. In a circular economy, however, material production is reduced, as things are reused, repaired and recycled. Interestingly, some research shows that circular economy activities actually generate significantly more jobs than linear economy practices such as landfilling and incineration. When we think of workers in the informal circular economy, we can think of repair workers, providers of reuse services and products, artisans of goods made from naturally biodegradable materials, second-hand goods vendors, and many more. These workers may find it difficult to maintain their livelihoods in a linear economy. For example, tailors must compete with cheap, often imported clothes that are often less expensive to buy new than to have repaired, or the quality may be too poor to repair well. Waste pickers and recyclers are also circular economy workers. This sector has seen significant growth under the shift from a circular to a linear economy because there are many more materials to recover and process. But many materials are not recyclable or are more expensive to recycle than to make new, thus contributing to a linear economy. Waste pickers play an important role to help make linear economies more circular. Before you answer this question, let's hear what some of our previous participants have had to say.
The negative side is that plastics have changed the economic system, because there are so many single-use plastics and so it is difficult to collect and recycle. SUPs are creating a big mess.
We used to collect paper and glass, then came plastics with the drink bottles. The plastics market is very limited, because there is no industry that can recycle all kinds of plastics. It is not because they are not recyclable, but because there is no market for this type of waste. In conclusion to this session, let's go back to our organizations or network and ask this question of members. Please share your responses as a voice note or text in the chat.